The Ultimate Fighting Championships have grown in popularity since its formation in the early 90s. Later this year, the competition comes to Manchester again, where local fighter Michael Bisping will take on Denis Kang. In a moment, I'll be talking to Michael, but before that, let's take a look at him in action.
I'm wrestling all the time, you know, every single time. I know 20 different ways to get back to my feet. Wow! I know I'll outstrike him on the feet. Footwork, movement, striking.
Michael Bisping is going to beat him to the punch so easy.
I very rarely get hit. I've never been dropped. I've never been knocked out.
Bisping is relentless with his punches.
And if he does, this happens.
Michael Bisping is going to drag him underwater and keep him there.
Just raining punches.
I think he's going to knock him clean out cold.
And it's all over.
I even know the shots he's going to stop him with.
Ah, pretty impressive stuff then.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
So you've got your fight coming up then at the MEN Arena.
Yeah,
Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm fighting on the 14th of November. I'm fighting Denis Kang at the MEN. It's the second time I've fought in Manchester. I fought for the UFC for, you know, a good number of years now.
Yeah.
First time we came to Manchester was UFC 70, and that was in 2007. And yeah, as I said, it's November 14th. Denis Kang is a very tough opponent. He's well respected in the world of mixed martial arts. So I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting fight.
Do you feel any more pressure with it being sort of near to your hometown?
Every time I fight in England, there's always more pressure because, you know, for a long time I was fighting in the UFC and there wasn't many other English guys. So I was, you know, they really wanted me to win to, you know, to represent England, if you know. So yes, there's always more pressure, but I thrive under that pressure and it, you know, it helps me to perform.
Do you feel like you're fighting against the Yanks then sometimes? And obviously over there it's absolutely massive and there's a lot of Yank fighters.
This guy's Canadian actually, but well, certainly when I go out to America and I'm fighting in Vegas or wherever, you know,
yeah.
You know, I get booed a little bit out there because obviously, you know, they're supporting their guy. So it's a bit of fun though.
Of course, yeah, it's all part of the
it's
pantomime.
all pantomime, exactly.
Exactly, yeah, fantastic. Well, Randy Couture's fighting as well on the bout,
right,
isn't
yeah.
he? And he's probably known as the biggest UFC fighter at the moment, I suppose.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, Randy Couture, he's a legend of the sport, you know. He's been world champion at light heavyweight and heavyweight 5 or 6 times up and down throughout the years. He's 46 years old, so, you know, most guys are well retired at his age,
yeah.
But, you know, Randy's a bit of a freak in that regard. But, yeah, he's fighting in Manchester on the 14th of November, as I said, and I think for English fight fans to have a guy like Randy Couture fighting in England it's massive, you know. So if you get a chance, go down there, get a ticket, or watch it on ESPN when it's live.
Excellent. Well, back to yourself. Obviously, the last fight was the first defeat you actually had against Dan Henderson.
It was, yeah.
Looking to bounce back from that, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yeah, my last fight was first defeat at middleweight. You know, obviously I wasn't planning on that, but the sport of mixed martial arts is a little different than boxing in terms of, you know, one defeat doesn't really mean the end of your career, you know. There's so many different ways to win and lose. You know, like, for example, Randy Couture, as I just said, is a legend in the sport and one of the best fighters in the business.
Yeah.
You know, he's got about 10, 11 defeats on his record. Obviously, I don't plan on having 10 or 11 defeats, but my point is, one defeat isn't the end of the world. That said, yeah, I'm looking on bouncing back. You know, I've got a big fight on my hands in Manchester and I'm looking forward to, you know, getting back to winning ways. That's
part of the charm of the sport, though, as well, I suppose, in that there is so many different ways to win a fight that it can become just so unpredictable. You know, you think you're doing really well, then suddenly you get a massive knockout punch or you're submitted on the floor or, you know, whatever it might be. It's just part of that unpredictability of it. It's part of the charm of it, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head, you know. There is so many different ways to win or lose. You know, it could be a knockout, a submission, judge's decision. I mean, quite often you'll see a guy who's completely dominating the fight, and then all of a sudden, because the gloves are small, you know, they're not the size of a boxing glove, all of a sudden he might get hit with one big shot and the fight's over. So, you know, yeah, it is very unpredictable. So what's your link to Manchester then? We're sort of claiming you as our own in a way, but obviously Clitheroe's just down the road, I suppose. Yeah, well, I live in Clitheroe, so it's about 45 minutes away. But, you know, I've fought out in the States a lot. And when I'm out there, people ask where I'm from. If I say Clitheroe, you know, I don't think too many people in America know of Clitheroe. So I just say Manchester. You know, it's a lot easier. You know. Do you feel a lot of warmth from the fans though when you fought? Obviously, the last time in Manchester. Well, last time I fought at the MEN, I fought in Vegas, I fought in Canada, I fought all over the place, and that was by far the best crowd ever. And the boxing writers who were there, they said they'd been in arenas for Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and they said they'd never heard a crowd like that in their life. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be back at the MEN. Fantastic. We'll hopefully follow that up. The popularity, though, of UFC has grown a lot in this country over the last couple of years. It's been big in America for quite a few years, but even Ricky Hatton, who's quite a notable boxer, of course, over here, has said that he feels like UFC is challenging boxing in terms of popularity now.
Yeah, well, I think, actually, in terms of pay-per-view, as a pay-per-view sport, you know, the UFC is the #1 pay-per-view sport in the world, and they say it's the fastest-growing sport in the world. To put it into perspective, when I fought at the O2 Arena in London in 2007, that was the second most watched sporting event in America that year. So, you know, I think that gives an idea of the scale of the sport. In this country, obviously, it's not as big as it is in America.
Yeah.
But it's growing and growing all the time. You know, there's new websites, magazines, clothing. There's a whole subculture, you know, surrounding the sport. And there's new gyms opening everywhere, you know, a lot of new fighters. Like, when I first got in the UFC, there was, you know, 1 or 2 English fighters.
Yeah.
At the MEN now, when we fight in November, you know, near enough every fight's got an English guy in it. So
right.
I think that's a sign of the growth of the sport.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
All the best for your fight as well.
Thank you very much.
Manchester proud. Thanks very much.